Well, good morning. Decided to do a midweek video thingamabopper, whatever this thing's called. I don't know what to call these things. But anyways, I just wanted to sort of reach out midweek as a way of keeping in connection with all of you all and sort of letting you know what's going on in my life and maybe sharing some thoughts and things like that. Um, been thinking about when I first came into ministry about 5 years ago, or actually 6 or 7 years ago. I started the process of discernment as to whether or not I wanted to step into the pulpit, step into a vocational type of ministry. I had been doing ministry at my church at that time, but I was feeling this call. And I didn't know really what it was. I didn't know how to properly acknowledge that call, and so I had started into a period of discernment with a mentor and with some books and things of that nature. We're Methodists, so we do have a method for pretty much everything, including discernment. And I remember during that discernment, I was very anxious, um, mainly because I didn't want to answer God's call on my life. I really wanted God to hang up and go call somebody else, to be honest with you. I wasn't really sure that I was meant to be in ministry. I was pretty certain that I wasn't the kind of person that should be a minister. I really didn't understand the call. And so through that period of discernment, as you can imagine, it caused a great deal of anxiety in me. And I sort of wanted to get it, hurry up and get it done, answer this and figure out that it was wrong and move on. But as I engaged in that discernment, I began to realize that I wasn't going to be able to hang up. I wasn't going to be able to tell God, I'm sorry, you got the wrong number. That I was going to have to answer the call that He was placing on my life at that time. And so that created even more anxiety. And I was talking to a great mentor and a friend, and she was also a local pastor in the United Methodist Church. And I was talking to her, and I was sharing this anxiety and this desire to hurry up and get this over with, to figure out where I was going to be, to figure out how this was all going to work. How was I going to be a pastor in the United Methodist Church? And I mean, would they accept me? Would I accept them? Could I deal with all that is being a pastor, or what? And just I can remember being very anxious ridden. And she had gone through a lot of the same things. I'm finding out that a lot of people have been called go through a lot of the same anxiety. And she shared with me a breath prayer. And for those of you who might not know what a breath prayer is a prayer that you can say in one single breath as you exhale. And so this breath prayer that she shared with me was actually, I think, used by the Benedictine monks to sort of center themselves. You know, they'd be out doing their daily activities, whatever, milking cows, haying the field, praying, whatever, making cheese. I don't know what they were doing, but they would get anxious, and they would want to know what was going to be coming next, what would we be doing next. And so they have this breath prayer to sort of center themselves in the here and now, in what they are doing. And it goes like this: God, what do you have for me here? God, what do you have for me here? And they use this as a sort of a way to say, hey, look, I am doing the work of God right here and now. I need to explore and figure out what it is that God is wanting me to learn or notice or be about in this moment right now. And so she encouraged me, hey, Steve, when you get anxious, when you're starting to think that you need to know all the answers, when you want to hurry up and move on, pray, God, what do you have for me here? And then wait and listen. God, what do you have for me here? Now, I'm a stubborn guy, and that's putting it nicely. And so I oftentimes have to pray, God, what do you have for me here? And then in my next breath, I have to remind myself, right now, in this location, with these people, with this situation. God, what do you have for me here right now, in this location, with these people, in this situation? Because I need help focusing myself on the present. I need my help focusing myself on what God has placed me into and what God needs me to do and what God needs me to learn in that situation. And it may be simply to breathe, to relax, to be present for somebody, to listen. God, what do you have for me here? And then wait. And find out the holy that is in daily life. Because oftentimes I think we forget that there is holiness in life, in daily life. It just doesn't happen here in the sanctuary. Holiness doesn't happen here in the sanctuary with these stained glass and with the cross. Holiness happens in every minute of every moment of our lives. And so it behooves us to take time and go, God, what do you have for me here? And to recognize that holiness in the daily, in the mundane. I mean, you might be doing the worst chore in the world in your house. And for us, that's cleaning out the cat box. And it's pretty long stretch of imagination to think that God is present while you're cleaning out the cat box. The smells and that's pretty nasty. But the fact is that God is present in that moment. If you'll recognize that holy presence in your life. So we're in some pretty tense times right now. I mean, they just shut down the restaurants here. You can go and get takeout, but you can't go and sit down and eat. Shut down all the bars. They're talking about now 8 weeks. If it gets worse, we'll have to all be locked in our houses. I don't know. It's pretty tense around here. It's pretty unknown. Mundane life isn't so mundane. Going to the grocery store, it's a challenge. Finding toilet paper, it's a challenge. You know, Amazon has stopped all non-essential deliveries. Well, is that book that I ordered essential or not? I mean, life is difficult right now, unknown. Well, it's a good time to also stop and pray, God, what do you have for me here? What do you have for me here in this chaos, in this unknown, in this I'm so unsure of what's going to happen next? God, what do you have for me here in this moment, in this situation? And maybe if we all sit there and sort of just breathe that prayer. Breathe that prayer out and breathe in the holiness of the situation, the holiness of life, the holiness of God's eternal presence in our lives. Maybe we can find some answers. Maybe we can relax a bit. Maybe we can loose some of that fear, let go of it. Maybe we'll just become cognizant of God's holy presence in our lives. God, what do you have for me here? God, what do you have for me here. Amen.